And now, finally, after talking for so long, I am finally going to be able to move my army. So I am going to start by capturing those little workers here. And so I did say that ranged units cannot melee attack, but this is not considered a melee attack when you just move your unit over a non-military unit. It's considered directly a capture. And so I am going to move my trebuchet up here on the hill because I do want it to be able to fire down on Lyon. And if I keep it here on the flat land, it will not be able to fire over the hill, I believe. Next, I'm going to move my swordsman, my samurai here. And I am going to keep my crossbowman here because I don't really need to move it to the side. So I'm just going to press spacebar, which is going to say that I don't need to do anything else with this unit for the moment, which is equivalent to this little button here, do nothing. All right. Now I'm going to wake up the rest of my units. Where could I move this knight? Nowhere interesting for now. I am going to move this knight here, and I'm going to see, since he's moving into kind of forests here, I'm going to give him drill 1 and move him here. There we go. Now this is he's moving. He had to cross a river here, so yeah, that was all his movement points, and I'm going to keep the Great General with him because I do want him to be to have a bodyguard. Now I'm going to move my knights here. And I'm going to move my samurai here, and I'm going to pillage this mine. Pillaging, which is this little button here, is something that you can do even in your own lands, I believe, although I'm not sure if I move... Yeah, there we go. Pillage is something you can even do in your own lands, and pillaging basically just destroys the improvements in that tile. So if you're going in an enemy's territory and you want to cripple him, pillaging is an excellent idea. So I received some gold, first of all, for pillaging an improvement. Second of all, destroying that improvement is going to just remove the effect that the improvement has. In this case, I have destroyed a mine on top of an iron resource, which means that the French right now have lost access to those 2 iron resources, which is a very good move to make, because first of all, if they lose their iron, they can't make any more iron units if they're out of iron. Second of all, if for some reason, if for example this is the only iron they have some swordsmen out, I take out their iron, they don't have the iron to support that swordsman anymore, which requires iron to build and to maintain. This swordsman is going to be at a strategic resource penalty. You can actually see it in the tooltip right now. It's on the right side. It says minus 50% strategic resource penalty. This means that the French have less iron than they have iron using units, and so those units, it's kind of, it denotes that they don't have the resources to maintain their equipment properly, and so they're fighting at a great disadvantage right now, which is awesome. So this is a very strategic move to deprive the enemy of their strategic resources as you're fighting them, and this is something that the enemy can do to you too. So you have to guard those resources very carefully. Usually, if I weren't on such great terms with the Romans, I would leave a unit here to protect this iron and to block any attacks. But I'm great friends with Augustus. He hates the French too. I know he's not going to attack me, so I'm not that worried. And the one thing, though, about pillaging is that you really shouldn't go overboard about it, especially if you plan on capturing the cities, because pillaging doesn't destroy the improvement. It pillages it. A worker can repair the improvement if you move it on top of it. If you move the worker on top of the improvement and use the repair button, it is going to take 3 turns to repair any type of improvement. But if you pillage the whole countryside and then you capture the city, well, that's a lot of repairing you have to do instead of just, moving your units through and attacking the city itself. So I really suggest that you stick to crippling the enemy's strategic resources very early, and then have some warriors, warriors that you capture are best for that. After you've gained control of those strategic resources, just repair them with those workers, and then you'll have denied their use to the enemy, and then you will gain their use as soon as you capture the cities surrounding them. And now I have my crossbowman, which just moved here. It only cost him 1 movement point to move here, and I do know that I'm still safe from this swordsman. I am within movement range of it, but if the swordsman moves here, it's going to consume all his movement points, and so he's not going to be able to attack my crossbowman. So this crossbowman is actually safe, and I'm going to... Ah, shit, that's right. There's the hill in the way, so I can't bombard him from here. And I don't really want to move on the hill, because he'll attack me, although he'll have the resource penalty, and I'll be on bonus terrain, so... Yeah, I'll move my crossbowman over here, get a little better view of this here. This wheat doesn't even have a farm on it. The French are really backwards people. And so from here, I'll be able to pelt the swordsman if it's still here, or any unit that is here, or here, or here, or even here. So this is going to be this is a great vantage point for my crossbowman. So I've moved everyone, my entire army. I have one samurai that's going to come out here. I'll probably have to move it to Edinburgh to defend from this horseman, unless it, moves back to defend its territory. And then I'll have another samurai coming out here in 2 turns. So I'm in a very good spot. So, as you... Okay, so Augustus is kind of pissed at me because I have made, which one is it, Bucharest, my ally, and he has just ended our pact of cooperation. Alright. Same with Suleiman, so they can tell that I'm fairly powerful and that they are, if they help me too much, I'll grow too powerful. So they are scared of me right now. I should probably move some troops to defend here, because when I'm in pact of cooperation, it does mean that they'll have fewer qualms about attacking me, so I do need to defend this place here. So I have finished my trade route here with Kagoshima and Tokyo, so I'm making a little bit more gold. Well, actually, I'm making less gold. And the reason I'm making less gold is because I'm spending more on unit maintenance. When you have units in enemy territory, it costs you more per turn to maintain, because obviously some logistical problems. You have a kind of a supply chain to take care of, and that costs more gold. So I do have units that have gained XP for promotions, because the city of Lyon attacked this samurai, so this samurai here is down to 9 hit points out of 10. Every unit has 10 hit points, although cities have 20. Keep that in mind. I didn't speak about hit points yet, but did forget about them. Units have 10. All types of units have 10 hit points. Cities have 20, so cities are twice as resilient as units. And then I have this little samurai here, which came out with, let's see, how much... it does have 15 XP because there is a barracks here, so that's good. And let's see, I'm going to keep moving here. Their catapult did attack this knight who took 1 hit point of damage too. But, this samurai's on the hill, this knight's in the forest. They're fairly well defended, so they're not going to take too much damage. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is attack the city with my trebuchet, which is here. But before I can attack, unlike ranged units, which can use their ranged attack at any time, the trebuchet has to set up. This is the little button here for setup for ranged attack, and this costs the unit, the ranged siege unit, 1 movement point. So ranged siege unit take a little more setup time to be able to fire, but once they're set up, they can fire as much as they will, and they are stronger than ranged units. So I'm going to set up my unit on the hill here, which means I'll be able to attack the city here. It'll be able to attack enemy units in these tiles here because they are within the range. So let's do that. It consumes 1 movement point, but I do have 1 movement point left to attack, and so you see here that if I attack the city, it's going to be a very powerful attack, because I'm getting a bonus from the Great General here, from Timur, and I am getting my bonus versus other cities, which is excellent. So, flaming rocks on the way. I did 9 damage, gained some XP, perfect. Lion is down to 11 hit points out of 20, so it's halfway dead right now. Good progress. And I am going to use my crossbowman here, and see, the crossbowman actually was fortified here, and fortifying your units, as I said in the, I believe it was the early game, the basics tutorial, fortifying your units gives them a defensive bonus, but the swordsman moved here to protect the worker, and now it's lost its fortifying bonus, so it's getting the penalty. it's getting the defense penalty from being in open terrain. It's getting the strategic resource penalty. It's not fortified anymore. This crossbowman is going to really decimate the swordsman. I mean, look, it says that the combat strength of the swordsman, which is 11, based at when you first get the swordsman out, it's down to 1.87. That's a warrior starts with 6 combat strength, so this is really nothing. My crossbowman is going to annihilate the swordsman unit because it's in such a bad spot. And there we go. No more swordsman. This does consume all the movement points for the crossbowman, though. And now I have my little samurai here. I have quite a few units, actually. Now, I still can't fire on the city because there's the hill in the way, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to attack first with my knight. Oh, wow, actually. Wow, it says that this would destroy the city in one shot. The samurai is the same thing. Wow, I'm going to attack with my samurai instead. And I have captured Lion, which was really difficult. I took 1 damage from that attack. Wow. So Lion is mine. Awesome. First of all, I get some gold from capturing another Civ city, which is always great. The Songhai civilization actually gets triple gold from capturing a city. It's a really great bonus. I love the Songhai for that bonus. And so right now I have a few choices what to do with Lion. The first and the simplest choice is to raise the city. Raising the city is going to lower its population by 1 every turn until it reaches 0. And then once it reaches 0, the city just disappears for good. You cannot do that with city-states, unfortunately, and you cannot do that with a capital city, with the capital of another civ. You can't raise it. So this is pretty much when you capture a city that's in a bad spot, because sometimes the AI will settle cities in poor locations, or it will just settle cities right next to each other in, just too close. They kind of crowd each other too much. You can raise the city, it's no big deal, although it will make other civs hate you a little bit more, because they'll kind of think of you as a very bloodthirsty person, as a very violent person if you raise too many cities. So this is an option, but Lion's not in that poor a location. It's kind of close to Kagoshima, but they're 3-4 hexes away, so it's not that bad. The second option is to create a puppet city. This is kind of an interesting option. It's what I picked for Edinburgh, the city-state that I captured earlier. So when you create a puppet city, it becomes part of your empire, so you get access to all the resources around it. Its borders become yours. And you do you get the benefit of, the gold, the science, the culture you get, but it's essentially an AI-controlled city, so it will make buildings automatically. It will not create any units for you, and you do need still to, improve the terrain around it with your workers, but at the same time, it will not create a lot of happiness and unhappiness, because obviously if you take over a city of another civ, its citizens will be a little pissed, and they'll not be very happy with your conquest, and that will create extra unhappiness. If you create a puppet city instead, you'll get a lot less unhappiness. So if you don't have access to too many luxury resources, or to too many luxury happiness generating building, you probably want to create puppets. And then annexing the city is pretty much just making it a full part of your empire. You get control over it, but you do get extra unhappiness from that city until you build until you build a building called a courthouse. And the courthouse will get rid of that extra unhappiness for you. And the courthouse is a fairly expensive building to make. If you have a lot of gold, you can probably just purchase it. But it does take a while to make. So for the moment, I'll do the same thing that I did for Edinburgh. I will just create a puppet city with this. And keep in mind that if you create a puppet city, at any time after that, you can select to annex the city. If you do annex the city, you cannot choose to put it back into a puppet state. But once you annex it, you can choose to raise the city. So you kind of have, you can, if you create a puppet, you can always go annex, which is usually the right path to pick. If you, usually you don't want your unhappiness to run too far ahead of your happiness resources, your happiness producing resources and buildings, but then eventually once they catch up, you can annex the city, take full control of it. And if you by mistake click create puppet instead of raise city, you can just go into the city screen, annex the city, and then select to raise it. And you can do that at any point, 300 turns later after annexing the city, you can still select to raise it, no problem. So for now, I'm going to create a puppet city.